and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving back into the heart-wrenching and beautiful world of Bai Qian and the UHO. Grab your snacks, get comfy, and let's get into it. We open on Kunlun Mountain, where Bai Qian is tidying up the alchemy furnace. As she works, Mo Yuan arrives. The sight of him instantly throws Bai Qian back to that terrifying day when he stood right here, shielding her from the heavenly tribulation.
Mo Yuan just looks at her, his gaze so full of quiet, doting affection. It's almost overwhelming.
Bai Qian can't quite handle the intensity in his eyes and has to look away. Something's gotta give, right? Later that night, the mood shifts. Jian and Bai Qian's fourth brother, Bai Zuan, are deep in a game of chess. Bai Qian, ever the sly fox, seizes her moment. She quietly pulls Bai Zuan aside, her eyes practically pleading. She asks him to cover for her for just the time it takes to burn 7 or 8 incense sticks. She's desperate to sneak off to the mortal realm to see the Hua. Bai Zuan can't help but chuckle at her anxious expression. "You're sneaking around like this just for a boy," he teases, afraid your senior brothers will see and make fun of you for being so lovesick. But Bai Qian quickly shakes her head. "It's not about them," she explains, her voice dropping. "It's Master. If Mo Yuan finds out his own twin brother is undergoing a trial in the mortal realm, he'll feel obligated to go see him." She explains that the turbid air of the mortal world is terrible for his immortal body, which is still recovering. It's not about her being lovesick. It's about protecting Mo Yuan. Her concern is so genuine. You can't help but admire her thoughtfulness, even when she's breaking the rules.
Bai Zuan, seeing his chance, decides to bargain.
7 or 8 incense sticks. "At that rate, I won't get any sleep tonight," he jokes. 1 incense stick, max. He's just undergoing a trial, not disappearing forever. "You're being way too clingy." At his words, Bai Qian's ears turn bright red. 1 incense stick it is. That's all she needs. Just as she agrees, delicate snowflakes begin to fall over Kunlun Mountain, blanketing the sacred ground in white. Without another moment's hesitation, Bai Qian rushes off to the mortal realm. She arrives to find the mortal world mirroring Kunlun, covered in a beautiful, silent layer of snow. She lands softly outside a school, the sound of children reciting their lessons drifting through the air. Drawn by the sound, she peeks inside. And there he is, sitting at the back, a handsome young boy with a cold, detached expression that is unmistakably the Hua. Her heart leaps. School finally lets out, and Bai Qian watches as a group of children swarm the young the Hua. But they're not friendly. They start chanting a cruel little song. "Rice is pricey. Oil is pricey. The Liu family birthed a cripple. Past sins are paid in this life." In that instant, all her anger is directed at the heavenly emperor. How could he be so cruel? To his own grandson, no less. To send him to the mortal realm for a tribulation is one thing, but to deny him even a whole and healthy body, it's beyond cruel. The Hua's 2 loyal attendants are about to chase after the bullies, but he calmly stops them. He holds his head high, his pride intact, despite the torn. The Hua simply brushed the empty sleeve of his right arm with his left hand, frowned slightly, and continued walking without saying anything. Bai Qian was heartbroken but couldn't show herself, so she followed him. She followed him from dusk till night, and when the 2 page boys were finally gone, Bai Qian quietly came to the Hua's bedside and told him that she was originally a fairy from Qingqiu, and that she knew she would have a destiny with him 10 years later, so she came to see him. Although it was the first time the Hua had seen Bai Qian, he fell in love at first sight. Before parting, Bai Qian and the Hua exchanged tokens. Bai Qian gave him the string of beads he had given her in the mortal realm, which would protect him and ease her worries, even if she couldn't visit him often. The Hua then took off the jade pendant from his neck and gave it to Bai Qian. Bai Qian instructed him, "You must never marry another woman. I will visit you often when I have time. When you grow up, I will marry you." The Hua blushed, but calmly nodded in agreement. From that moment on, in Yang the Hua's heart, Qingqiu became the place he would search for his entire life. When Bai Qian and Bai Zuan returned to Kunlun Mountain, they found Feng Jiu sitting alone and heartbroken in front of the door. Having suffered heartbreak at the hands of the emperor, Feng Jiu cried in Bai Qian's arms, saying bitterly that she could never forget him. No matter how coldly he spoke to her, or how much he bullied her, Feng Jiu then asked Bai Qian, "Aunt, if it were you, could you forget His Highness, the Crown Prince?" Jian and Mo Yuan were nearby. Bai Qian thought about the question and replied directly, "I can't forget him. Of course I can't forget him." Jian kept Feng Jiu with him, and the group drank and chatted together. Feng Jiu got drunk after only a few cups of wine. Bai Qian, puzzled, asked Jian why Dong Hua Dijan was averse to women. Mo Yuan told Bai Qian that Dong Hua Dijan abstained from women for the sake of the entire realm. Bai Qian looked helplessly at her little niece, and even Jian sighed. How could you have chosen such a person after all those choices? Li Jing arrived at Kunlun Mountain with the fire kiln. The dragon's breath was thick, preventing Li Jing from approaching easily. He knew that Mo Yuan, the high god, had returned to his position. A passing fairy told him that not only had Mo Yuan returned, but Ziyan, Bai Zuan, and Bai Qian were also there. Li Jing silently left. Li Jing and the fire kiln arrived at the cave entrance of Kunlun Mountain. The fire kiln asked Li Jing if they would be able to see Xian after Xian. And the Hua's marriage and the wedding invitations were sent back to the Great Purple Palace. Back in the Winged Realm, Yanze urged him to quickly inform Mo Yuan, the High God, about Qingqiang's impending break from the bell. Li Jing hesitated, telling Yanze he couldn't. He worried that if he told Bai Qian about Qingqiang's impending break,
Bai Qian would surely go to seal the Eastern Emperor Bell in Mo Yuan's stead.
Bai Qian was about to marry the Hua, her happiest moment, and he couldn't possibly disrupt her happiness. Li Jing had already made up his mind. No matter what, even if it meant sacrificing himself, he would do something for Xiyin. Li Jing knelt before Yanze, entrusting his son and the winged realm to her. Yanze was puzzled as to what her second brother was doing. Li Jing knocked Yanze unconscious and ordered Huakilin to imprison her in the extreme cold. He also ordered Huakilin to stay in the extreme cold with the child and Yanze. As the matter of the Eastern Emperor Bell was not over and none of the three of them could come out, he instructed Huakilin to assist Yanze in becoming the new winged lord after his death, and to protect Yanze and his child. On the banks of the Rushui River, the local deity told Yayun that the Ruashui River was churning with huge waves today, and he didn't know why. Although Jiayun didn't know what was going to happen, he had a bad feeling. Jian told Bai Qian that Mo Yuan was going into seclusion. Jian suggested that Bai Qian go see her master, as this seclusion would mean they wouldn't see each other for a long time. Bai Qian thought that her master loved peach blossoms the most, so she happily decided to go to the back mountain to pick some peach blossoms to replace the flowers in her master's room. Jian seemed to want to tell Bai Qian something, but hesitated to speak. It was late at night. Bai Qian knocked on Mo Yuan's door and found him sitting in front of a guqin, deep in thought. The flickering candlelight illuminated his face. Mo Yuan asked Bai Qian if the Hua treated her well, and Bai Qian truthfully replied that his kindness was different from her master's, but ultimately sincere. Mo Yuan looked at the guqin and simply said, "That's good." Bai Qian leaned against the window, quietly watching the snow. Mo Yuan began to play the guqin softly. Ji Yin, hearing this from outside, could only sigh at the twists of fate. When the music ended, Mo Yuan said calmly, "It's late. 17. Go back and rest." Ever since meeting Bai Qian, Yang the Hua's mind has been filled with her image and voice. He desperately wants to find out where Qingqiu is. But, despite consulting various ancient texts and asking his teacher, no one knows its location. Sujin also descends to the mortal realm to visit the Hua. Mistaking her for Bai Qian, is not disappointed upon turning around and finding her not so much. In the heavenly palace, the Hua disliked Su Jin, and even as a mortal, he still harbors no affection for her. Seeing the Hua's childish appearance, Su Jin recalls the time she spent with him as a child, and the more she thinks, the more resentful she becomes. How could any other woman compare to the affection she shared with the Hua? Su Jin transforms into Young the Hua's cousin and comes to his side, but Young the Hua finds her extremely repulsive. Bai Qian went to clean the wine cellar. Mo Yuan came to the wine cellar and teased Bai Qian, saying that he did not expect that the laziest 17 would change his nature after 70,000 years and become so diligent. Bai Qian chatted with Mo Yuan and asked why he broke the rules of Kunlun Mountain to accept her as his disciple when he saw that she was a woman. Mo Yuan asked her in return what she thought was the reason. Bai Qian thought for a moment and smiled and said it was for Jian. Maybe Master was also afraid of being entangled by that old phoenix. Mo Yuan smiled but did not answer. Mo Yuan looked at her and asked, "If I hadn't sacrificed my primordial spirit to the Eastern Emperor Bel 70,000 years ago, would you still be staying in Kunlun Mountain now?" Bai Qian didn't know why Mo Yuan asked this, but she honestly replied that she would, and that she would stay in Kunlun Mountain for a long time.
Mo Yuan smiled and said, "You are a girl after all."
When it's time for you to get married, even if you wanted to stay in Kunlun Mountain, I'm afraid your parents wouldn't agree.
Bai Qian thought of her marriage to the Hua and felt shy like a young girl.
She recalled that the Hua hadn't existed yet, and she hadn't thought about being with anyone for a long time.
Mo Yuan muttered to himself, "Yes, the Hua didn't exist back then."
Mo Yuan remained silent for a moment, then asked, "Do you know why I have been tirelessly repairing my primordial spirit for the past 70,000 years?"
Bai Qian smiled and replied, "Master, it must be for all of us disciples. That day, Master told me and my fellow disciples to wait for him."
Master never disappoints those who are important to you.
Mo Yuan lowered his eyes, looking into Bai Qian's eyes, and said, "I did indeed return for those who are important to you." Bai Qian assumed that the important people Master was referring to were her fellow disciples. Mo Yuan gently embraced Bai Qian. Bai Qian said with relief, "Master came to the winged realm to save me that day, just like now. Now that Master has returned, it's so good, so good." Jia Yun reports to the Emperor about the unusual activity of the Eastern Emperor Bel. The Emperor is uneasy.
Mo Yuan has just returned, and the winged realm is already in turmoil, indicating something is about to happen. Feng Jiu arrives at Taichun Palace and accidentally knocks the Emperor down with her magic.
The Emperor, who has lost all his magic, is injured by Feng Jiu's fall. Feng Jiu knows that what Ximing told her about the Emperor losing all his magic upon returning from the mortal realm is true. Feng Jiu asks in a trembling voice, "You are so heartless to me because your name is not on the 3 live stone." The Emperor hardens his heart once again and tells Feng Jiu that his name will not appear on the 3 live stone, and that he has no connection with anyone, not just Feng Jiu. Feng Jiu's eyes harden, and she draws the Emperor's sword, resolutely saying, "I refuse to believe that your name will not appear on the 3 live stone." With that, she cuts off one of her tails. Feng Jiu endures the pain of losing her tail and says, "In the Qingqiu Fox clan, every Sevilla tail can be condensed into a magical artifact, and I will definitely carve Dong Hua's name on the 3 live stone." Feng Jiu endured excruciating pain, recalling what Ximing had told her. During the chaos of the 4 seas, the Emperor,
For the sake of the 4 seas and 8 desolations, and to ensure her invincibility,
had personally erased his name from the 3 live stone. No matter what happened, it was all a tragic fate for him. Feng Jiu arrived before the 3 live stone, refusing to believe that she and the Emperor had no destiny. She searched the entire stone, but Dong Hua's name was nowhere to be found. When Feng Jiu finally found her own name, she was shocked to discover that her destiny lay with someone else. Heartbroken, Feng Jiu was determined to carve Dong Hua's name. But no matter how hard she tried, it wouldn't appear on the 3 live stone. Finally, exhausted, Feng Jiu fainted.
The emperor carried her back to Taichun Palace and ordered Ximing to quickly send her back to Qingqiu for a nine-tailed fox.
Losing its tail was equivalent to having its heart ripped out. Miju hurriedly took Feng Jiu to Kunlun Mountain. Li Yan and Bai Qian rushed to the scene, both heartbroken that their girl was so reckless with her life. When the emperor arrived at Kunlun Mountain, Bai Qian, who had long harbored resentment towards him, confronted him directly. Knowing she shouldn't have any romantic entanglements, why did she still provoke Zhao Ji? Before the emperor could even offer an apology, Bai Qian angrily rebuked him, asking what the point of his apology was and whether he could bear the pain of Feng Jiu's severed tail. Everyone surrounded Feng Jiu, who, in a daze, looked at Emperor Donghua, thinking it was a hallucination. When Feng Jiu regained consciousness and saw Emperor Donghua sitting by her bedside, she immediately curled up in his arms. It just shows the depth of their connection and the trials they must face. Let me know in the comments what you think about the Heavenly Emperor's decision. Was it fair? As always, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next deep dive. See you next time!